Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Thursday morning. My name is Carla Short. I'm the Interim Director for San Francisco Public Works, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to the opening ceremony of the newly painted Webster Street pedestrian bridge that links Japantown and the Fillmore communities. Just a couple of notes. After our speaking program, we are going to invite everyone to go up on the bridge, and we will have a photo opportunity with the beautiful pagoda behind us, and really highlight this beautiful vermilion color of the Japantown bridge. So with that, I would love to introduce our mayor, the leader of San Francisco, who inspires us to think creatively and come up with beautiful projects and work with the community, and really is the woman behind all of this. So I'd like to introduce Mayor London Breed.
Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to recognize that we have some wonderful community guests. And first, I want to start with our Consul General of Japan, Consul General Osumi. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We are honored by your presence. Now, you'll be hearing from the Consul General in a moment, and also some really amazing community members. But it is always great to come home. Every time I get a chance to come to the Fillmore, to Japantown, anywhere in this neighborhood, this is like a homecoming for me. And so many of the folks that are joining us here today are people who have been pillars in this community for decades. They are the ones who, whenever there is an obstacle, challenge, issue, they are the first ones to raise their hands and to get in the middle of every situation to ensure that the impacts of this neighborhood, when the city comes in, that those impacts are positive for the people who live here. And the Western Addition and Japantown have a very deep, rich history, one rooted in challenges and struggle. In fact, before the redevelopment agency took hold of this neighborhood, Gary Boulevard, right here where we see, this was not what it is now. Technically, I know it's a road, but it is a highway that has divided our community in ways that we couldn't have ever imagined. It was really what started a lot of the advocacy in this neighborhood, making sure that decisions like this don't get made without the community being a part of it. So when we were proposing the Gary Bus Rapid Transit, where, as you can see, these various red lanes that are specifically dedicated to Muni to ensure that Muni is moving more efficiently and as fast as they can down the streets of San Francisco, we did so with the community in mind. And in fact, we worked with the Japantown community to make some adjustments that weren't even talked about. Initially, the plan called for tearing down this bridge behind us. But so many folks in this community felt like this bridge was really about bridging gaps, about bringing community together. And in fact, they not only proposed holding on to this wonderful bridge, which seniors use, our kids at Rosa Parks Elementary uses, folks cross that bridge regularly for safety and to get onto the 38 Gary, and we didn't want to see this amazing bridge be torn down. They also added within the middle of the block between Laguna and Webster a crossway in the middle of that street, because let me just be honest, when I was a kid, that was, we would leave the YMCA, we'd cross the street in the middle of the road, putting our life in our hands to get over to Japantown, to walk through Japantown Plaza, to look at the pagoda, and head on down to Japantown Bowl. Well, now it's a safe passageway. And it was one of the creations of folks from this community who saw that there were so many kids, so many folks who were still using that as a crossway, and we wanted to make it safer, and that's what we did. And today we're celebrating this bridge. People are thinking, well, why are we celebrating a bridge? We're celebrating the symbolism of what this bridge represents for this community. It represents a connection between the folks who are part of the Western Addition community and the people who are part of Japantown, and how those ties that bind us, despite struggle, continue to really help to maintain that bond that is unbreakable because of the challenges of the past. And so today, as we celebrate the beauty of this bridge, the beauty of Japantown, the beauty of the Western Addition, we are also reminded that these communities are what they are because of the people who have lived here, the people who have struggled here, and the people who remain resilient despite of the obstacles that continue to persist. So I want to thank everyone for being here today, but I want to start with thanking the Department of Public Works and Carla and her team for working really hard to make this more beautiful than I've ever seen. I want to thank Arnold Townsend, who's also joining us here today, one of our community members. Thank you to Steve Nakajo and Grace from the Japantown Task Force, Rich Hashimoto, and so many people, and James from Ella Hill Hutch. This is really a community effort, and I'm looking forward to not only continuing to walk across that bridge, but also to see it continue to be used for so many folks to continue our connection between communities. And with that, at this time, I want to introduce the Consul General Asumi of Japan.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me today to this fabulous event. So I think the theme today, this morning, is the bridge, bridging the communities between the Western Addition and Japantown, and bridging bridging San Francisco to Japan, and bridging San Francisco to the world. So I always heard, I came here 5 weeks ago, so I'm still new, but I have already heard Mayor Breed's the energetic speech so many times, and every time I'm excited to hear that. But so Mayor Breed is the sort of embodiment of the bridging between the Western Addition and the Japantown, between San Francisco and Japan, and San Francisco to the world. So in 2 weeks' time, there's going to be a gigantic event gathering 21 Asian Pacific economies here, and I celebrate and I congratulate Mayor Breed and all people in San Francisco to host such an event which connects San Francisco to the world. I also thank Steve Nakajo, Grace Horikiri, and Richard Hashimoto, and Reverend Arnold Townsend for having this event possible with authority people in the San Francisco City Hall. And we hope that we can have this kind of beautiful bridge again in Japan and every part of the world. But thank you very much for today, and congratulations. Thank you.
I also want to give a shout out to some of our community members from the squares, Jada and Connie Ford. Thank you so much for being here. Jada also works at the Office of Economic and Workforce Development. Want to give a shout out to Miss Nicola, who also works there as well, to the Japantown CBD. I see Patrick Cito, who's here. Thank you so much for joining us. This really is a close-knit community of people who all work very closely together. And at this time, I want to ask, is it Grace or Steve? Steve? Okay, so we're going to ask Fire Commissioner Steve Nakajo to come up and say a few words.
Thank you very much, Mayor Breed, Consul General Asumi. I also wanted to give a real recognition to you, Mayor Breed, in terms of your presence and support to us in the Western Addition, Fillmore, Japantown, in terms of your growth, but also your responsibility as mayor of San Francisco. I need to recognize, just as a representative of our community, which there are many folks behind me that make up that community, the relationship of the mayor's office and the support, but the partnership with DPW, and particularly Michelle Wu, Carla Short, Rachel Gordon, and all of the DPW team, because without that kind of combination, collaboration between us and DPW, the mayor's office, and more importantly, the Fillmore community. I'm full of emotion this morning because I'm standing in the shadow of Japantown Fillmore, and St. Francis Square is right over there, and I can't help but think about Mr. Yori Wada Mr. Leroy King and Scotty Tremacha Scott. We didn't need in the old days a bridge to combine the Fillmore black community to the Japanese community. We simply walked across the street. So through the evidence of history and what happened and this highway freeway that divided it for so long, with that beautiful rendition of our bridge, with the colors of the Golden Gate Bridge, with this aspiration of APEC coming to San Francisco, I finally feel that our journey is moving forward and it's time to heal here in Japantown and the Fillmore as well. It's with that history and dedication that we maintain that bridge and that relationship that goes beyond bridges all the way to Japan as well. Thank you, Mayor Breed, Department of Public Works. Thank you for the members of our Japanese American community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I know Sandy Morey's not here, but I want to give her a shout out as well for all the great work that she's been doing over the years. And at this time, I want to welcome Reverend Arnold Townsend to the stage, or to the concrete, to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've been on concrete before. I ain't been a preacher all my life. To the mayor, the Consul General, Ms. Short, and all of you here, I'm really excited to be here, primarily to illustrate, to talk about how this bridge represents a connection between two communities. Though it seems that forces were trying to separate us, we just wasn't going to have it. And we've managed to stay together, and the bridge is an example of that. The associate and Steve, someday somebody's going to do a great documentary on the relationship between these two communities. Many, many years ago, I was invited to be on a panel of that commemoration of the Japanese internment when they were sent away to the camps. And I didn't know why I was invited, but I went because when people from Japantown call me, I go. And I was so grateful to it because there was an elderly woman there who talked about the day that when they were leaving, she said that the only people who seemed to lament their leaving were black people in the Fillmore. And that the day they left, the only people who showed up to say goodbye were black church people from the Fillmore. She also said that they brought them brown paper bags of fried chicken and shoebox cakes. And of course, all the older black people in the room started laughing because that's the way we used to have to travel when we went cross country because of racism, Jim Crow. We didn't know where we'd be able to eat, where we'd find a restaurant that would serve us, and fried chicken will last longer out of the refrigerator than most anything. And I guess they used a bun pan, but if they cooked the cakes where they could fit in a shoebox, you could keep them longer. And any of you who have seen the Green Book know a little bit about what I'm talking about. But that is the kind of relationship these communities have always had. And know this, that while our association was a matter of location, Japantown, Fillmore, it's really more separated since this bridge than it ever was in reality because our relationship was a relationship of location, but also of the heart. And while they could put this in to separate us, they couldn't separate our hearts from one another. That's why we're still together. That's why we're still friends. That's why I got beat up by the people from Fillmore and Japantown serving on the redistricting commission that I better let nothing happen to us being in the same district because we've always been together and we're determined to stay together no matter what happens with Geary Boulevard, and we're hoping something positive will happen there very soon. So I just want to tell you and let you know the excitement that we are passing this relationship, this togetherness, on to the next generation and on to the next generation. And everybody in San Francisco could learn how you can be two distinct communities, but be together at the same time. What a wonderful and beautiful lesson. So I want to thank everyone involved here for this event to give us a chance to just glory in our friendship. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Reverend Townsend. And again, thank everybody for coming here today. We're going to do a ceremonial walk across this bridge. Miss Barbara is joining us. It is so good to see you. Yes. So here we go, doing what we do with community, coming together, hanging out with one another, continuing to support and uplift one another. That's what this bridge represents, and that's what this community is now and will always be. Thank you all so much for being here today.
Are we ready to serve everything? Anyone else? Right.
Oh, wow. Look at the bread. Look at the colors. I love it.
We used to have so much fun.
Wow.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
I used to,
I know,
when I was a
right?
kid.
I love this joining of arms, and it's beautiful.